What's going on, guys? It's Cody Sperber, the Clever Investor here, and today I have something very special for you. We have the founder of Fit Body Bootcamp, the man, the myth, the legend, Bedros Keuilian. All right, so like I said, we have a very special guest today. I normally don't do interviews on my YouTube channel.
Oh, wow.
Normally I'm just focusing on real estate investing, strategy, and marketing, and talk a little bit about entrepreneurship. But I just had the opportunity to come out here and take a tour of Bedros' facility here. First off, world class.
Thank you.
Every single thing that you have put together so far that I've seen has been world class. Now, for those of you that don't know Bedros, he is the author of the book Man Up. He is also the founder of Fit Body Bootcamp. We're actually in his, what would you call this?
This is
the
library. Yeah, we call it the library.
The library here. We call it
I
the library.
the room.
He also is the founder of the Empire Podcast. So if you haven't checked that out.
Thank you.
But let's talk for a minute so that way they can get to know you.
Sure.
You're an immigrant.
I am.
From Armenia?
Armenia, yep.
Armenian. And I was reading in your bio on the way here that when you were growing up, it was actually under communist rule.
Yeah. My dad was a member of the Communist Party because Armenia was owned or taken over by the Soviet Union. So my dad was a Communist Party member, and in 1980 we escaped Armenia, and had we been caught, he would have been killed. And we went into Italy, under the fake assumption that we're going to go visit family, so we only had to could take 2 suitcases to make it look like we're visiting, because Italy was a communist sympathizer, so it was okay to visit there. If you go, hey, I'm going to go to the United States, forget it.
Yeah, they were like...
From Italy, we went to the American consulate and said, hey, we're escaping. We want to go to the U.S. Wow. Yeah, man, so I'm a refugee to the United States, and I am the immigrant edge and the American dream.
So you're here. Your parents sacrificed a lot to get you here.
Yeah.
Now you're here. And are you from a very young age entrepreneurial? Are you a young hustler, or were you more conditioned to go to school, go to college, try to get a good corporate job? Like, what was your upbringing like?
Good question. I was option number 3. So because we came to this country, my mom, my dad, my older brother and older sister, I was the baby of the family, so I was 6 years old when we got here. And just so you know how bad it was, we were eating out of dumpsters. We were living in some guy's 1-bedroom apartment. We were living, like, not in his apartment, like 1 bedroom of his apartment, a family of 5 of us. And we only had 30 days, and then we were out. So my dad was pumping gas, working at a pizzeria. We were eating out of dumpsters that were behind grocery stores because they threw away food that was expired, and we would eat that. One time I got lice when we lived in Section 8 housing, which is government-assisted housing, and the lice was so bad, my mom couldn't afford to buy lice treatment because every penny had to get saved for us to be able to get our own place, an apartment that's cleaner and not government-assisted. So she had my dad pump out gasoline from siphon out gasoline from a parked car and wash my hair. But all this to say that we were really grateful and excited to be in the United States. But to answer your question, no, I wasn't entrepreneurial. I wasn't a young hustler. And I wasn't encouraged by my parents, who were hustling to make money, to go to school. Their only ambition for me was, you can go get any job you want. And so they encouraged me to go be a car mechanic. Now remember, they're coming from an oppressed government where most people are just barely getting by, driving a taxi, selling flowers on the streets. And so it's like, hey, you can go get any job you want. And I'm not talking about a white-collar job, like any blue-collar job you want. You can go be a mechanic, a smog technician, you can go paint houses, you can do auto body repair, because that's what they saw their peers doing in the United States. And so I was going to be a smog technician. Thank God that I was a fat, overweight kid, and the only reason I lost weight in high school was I started working out because I wanted to ask this girl, Nakaya, to the prom. And while I never went to the prom with Nakaya, I did decide that I wanted to be a personal trainer. And as a certified personal trainer, I became a trainer after high school, dropped out of college in 30 days, because I said, well, maybe college is my thing. So I went to college. 32 days later, I dropped out. And as a certified personal trainer, I was holding down that job at a big box gym. I was a fry cook at Disneyland and a bouncer at a gay bar because the personal training gig did not make enough money to pay my bills. The gay bar paid more than the straight bar, if that's if you're asking why.
No, I wasn't even going to ask.
Yeah, happily married. Love the gay community, but not necessarily part of it. And so in that way, here's a crazy thing. I had a personal training client. His name is Jim Franco, and I talk about it in Man Up. And one Monday morning, Cody, he goes, he always called me kid. He goes, kid, why are you always tired Monday mornings? I go, Jim, I train people on Saturday afternoons, and then all of Sunday, I'm working until the late hours of night as a bouncer, as a fry cook. So I come in Monday mornings tired. He goes, that's because you don't know how to close. You don't know how to sell. You don't know how to market. You're an order taker, nothing more. And he was very hard on me. And he was an entrepreneur who I trained 3 times a week. And he became my mentor and helped me become an entrepreneur, ultimately opening up my first gym and then building out 5 gyms. And then today, of course, we have Fit Body Bootcamp franchise.
All right. Where's he at now?
He is in Buena Park, California, and I just talked to him 2 days ago. He's 82 years old and still spry as a young chicken. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny how, because Lyle, what would you say his name was?
Jim Franco.
Lyle was my Jim.
Uh-huh.
You know, and it's weird how you go through life and you have what I call pivot points.
Yeah.
And that was a really great pivot point for you. That person came into your life and just said, hey, here's the reality.
Yeah.
And really checked you hard. But here's the thing. A lot of people get checked hard. It's very interesting to see what you did with it, because you stepped back from that and you started questioning your path and what you were doing. So now here you are. You're in the fitness space. How did Fit Body Bootcamp, how was that born? Is that something where you saw other franchise models and you're like, I'm going to start my own franchise model, or is it an accident? You know, are you working out of a garage and this idea is born?
I am the accidental entrepreneur. And where that's concerned, you know, Jim Franco did mentor me to open up my own gym, because he said, look, he goes, do you realize I pay this big box gym $800 a month? I said, no, because they only pay me $16 an hour to train you, right? He goes, that's because you closed me, but I pay them, and you just get an hourly paycheck. I'm like, holy crap. He goes, you trade time for dollars. You need to be an entrepreneur. You need to own your own gym. He got me all gassed up, and I opened up my own studio with his help. He was my business partner in the first location that I had, and then I opened the other 4 on my own. But they were all one-on-one personal training studios, and they were in North County, San Diego. How Fit Body Bootcamp came to be was years later I sold those gyms. I got married in 2003. 2005, my son is born. 2006, I decided I want to coach and consult personal trainers. I coach and consult personal trainers to teach them how I opened up my 5 gyms and they were successful, and how I sold them. Because the personal training industry, we're not that entrepreneurial. We care about people, man. I want to wake up at 4 in the morning and serve you. And I don't care how little you pay me, like I will give you the best damn workout of your life. And so Jim saw that in me, and he's like, look, you can serve people, but you also got to make money, because she's going to leave you. I was like, you make a good point. And so now that I'm coaching and consulting personal trainers, well, what happens in 2008? The economy crashes. So now all these people who had money and were hiring personal trainers, they go away.
That was it.
Personal trainers then who were paying me to coach and consult them, they're like, hey, we can't afford you, Bedros, because we don't have any clients. Yet outdoors, I would see all these outdoor boot camps running. You probably see them in Arizona where you live, right? We have them here in California. Cody, but I'm like, listen, I think this boot camp thing could be the next personal training, because if we train people in a group, it's more affordable. You don't have to pay $600, $700, $800 a month. You can pay like
one-on-one or one-on-many.
One-on-many, right? But I was like, well, but it's not weatherproof. So in 2009, I said, I'm going to take the outdoor boot camp indoors and test it out. I opened up the first Fit Body Boot Camp in Costa Mesa, California. I didn't believe in myself that if I signed a lease, it would work. So I rented out an all-star gymnastics center. And when I toured you upstairs, I don't know if you saw the carpet bonded foam, the flooring, when I took you to that mock Fit Body area. That's gymnastic flooring.
Yeah, I noticed that.
All of our locations, 800 locations worldwide, still use gymnastic flooring as a nod to where we came from, the gymnastic centers. And since I started making 14 grand a month in that gymnastic center, running boot camps in the mornings before their clients came in, their customers who were young kids, right? The parents would bring in. And so then in the second one, of course, we sign an actual lease in a brick and mortar. We build it out with all the colors, battle ropes, kettlebells. And before long, by 2011, we're franchising. And here we are, 2019. We've hit the Inc. 5000 list 4 years in a row. And we're Entrepreneur Magazine's fastest growing franchise 2 years in a row.
Boom.
Yeah.
So now you're on this wild carpet ride,
Oh my
right?
gosh.
You're having all this success. I'm about to get a little deeper now
Sure.
than the surface level, like how awesome you are, because you are awesome, and you wrote a book, and from the moment I met you, I've always been very impressed, and I just love how down to earth you are with all this success. You're very approachable, and you articulate really well. I think that's a huge skill where people can take ideas, thoughts, concepts, and simplify them and articulate them in a way. English isn't even, is it your first language?
It is not my primary language. I had to learn English.
Yeah, I mean, you have a gift right there. You're married.
Yes, sir.
You have kids?
2 kids.
What is it like balancing this amazing growth, all this success? And were you married? When did you get married?
Yeah, so I got married in 2003.
So she's been there through this wild ride.
Oh, yeah. Look,
how are you balancing? And I know we've talked about this off camera, but how are you balancing?
Yeah, and the truth is,
the success and the money and now the attention.
Yeah, good question. So one, I'm a firm believer that there is no work-life balance. There's a work-life mix. And so my son is 13, my daughter is 11. And when I'm speaking at an event, like let's say in New York City, I might take my son with me or I might take my daughter with me. Sometimes if I'm on a speaking circuit, my family will fly into the last city, especially if it's a fun city like Orlando. They'll fly in, I finish speaking, and then we'll spend 3 or 4 days and we'll enjoy the Wild Animal Park in Orlando, and then we'll do Disney World and Epcot, and then we'll fly back together. And so it really is a work-life mix. It's not a work-life balance.
So you're getting them involved as much as you can.
Yeah. When I was giving you the tour upstairs, I didn't introduce you to my wife because she's not there. She's the CFO of our company, but we walk right by her office. But at 2:30 she leaves to go pick up our kids from school. Our kids know that mom's working, so if she is a little late, hang out where the kids hang out until mom gets there. The kids are part of the business. They know that when the empire needs mom there just for another 20 minutes, they know what to do. But my kids are also educated and they're smart enough to know that it's because of mom and dad doing what we do that we're able to adopt, for example, 108 kids through Compassion International, and my kids write to them. We're one of the top donators to Shriners Children's Hospitals. That's not something that I talk about often, but I teach my kids, like, do you guys enjoy doing that, going to the Children's Hospital and donating and having 108 kids to write to? And every Christmas we shut down the Target here in Chino Hills and we buy $250,000 worth of toys for Tots. And they enjoy that process. Well, that's a byproduct. And by the way, flying first class in the nice hotels that we stay at and the castle that we stayed at in Scotland, that's all a byproduct of the work that we do and how we serve humanity. I'm teaching my kids to serve, and I'm teaching them that there is no work-life balance, but there is a mix. And if both spouses are on board with it and the family's on board with it, there's no problem with it whatsoever.
Love that. I mean, I've talked to a lot of very successful people, and not everybody has figured out how to make that work. In fact, I know a lot of people that went off and made a lot of money, and now they're on their second and third marriage.
Sure. And
they're still struggling.
Sure.
You've done a pretty good job.
And we had our bang out fights and stuff in the beginning, like everybody else. Yeah. It's just you decide, hey, what if we figure out a rhythm instead of file for divorce? That was the only difference.
I love that.
Yeah.
Cool. And so I see you speaking on stages with Ed Milet, Andy Frisella, all these amazing, very talented speakers.
Yourself.
Yeah, we got to share the stage.
Yeah.
Do you consider yourself a motivational speaker?
No, I realize that my story, the rags to riches, the immigrant edge, the former communist kid, that is motivating to people.
Were you ever scared of public speaking?
Oh my gosh, till this day I'm nervous. I'm on my 14th year of public speaking. I'm very nervous. Organically, I'm an introvert. Like when I take the test, I'm an INTJ, right? Introvert. However, I know how to flip the switch now. And one of the best ways was not working with a therapist or a speech coach or whatever. I saw an interview on VH1 with Beyonce. And she talks about how when, she comes from a very tight-knit Christian family. And she goes, wait, you guys want me to wear this fishnet stockings on stage and prance around like that sexually? They go, well, Beyonce, you've got an amazing voice, but if you want that voice to be heard by millions of people, you will have to wear that on stage and prance around. She goes, okay. And she flips the switch and becomes Sasha Fierce. Did you know that? So Beyonce is actually Sasha Fierce on stage, and there's a whole Wikipedia page on it. And so I was like, oh my gosh, all I have to do is take the introvert, become an extrovert on stage, and I absolutely become somebody else to deliver the message. I have a motivating story.
So what's your name on stage?
Well,
what's your stage name?
I suppose I need a stage name. I just haven't. Damn it, Cody.
Get you one.
Yeah, you got to help me out there.
All right.
But yeah, I do have a motivating story, but I teach leadership and entrepreneurism because I believe that money is the vehicle to freedom, impact, and meaning. And I believe, just like the German Shepherd dog, my dog Cookie there, who is right above you in the picture, like the German Shepherd dog, we must always have a purpose and we must serve as humans. And if the German Shepherd dog doesn't have animals to herd and it doesn't have a routine, a purpose, it begins to get depressed, anxious, stir crazy, and then starts digging holes in the backyard. It gives itself purpose. And as humans, if we don't have a purpose and we're not serving a community and industry and real estate and fitness, we begin to dig holes in our lives through drugs and alcohol and infidelity and gambling and just sheer stupidity. I am susceptible to that as well. So I've chosen speaking, specifically leadership and entrepreneurism, because I know it will help people overcome anxieties, depressions, and all these things that we suffer with.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was really powerful.
Yeah, thank you.
That was a great analogy too. I never really heard anybody kind of, hook
true
it like
thing.
that. Yeah, that's really interesting.
The shepherd is.
So what inspired you to write the book?
Oh man! So while everyone,
because it's a great book. I rarely read books any longer. Yeah. I normally listen to the audiobooks. But when I first met you, you were nice enough to give me a copy and autograph it for me, and it's been sitting on my desk at the office, which, by the way, it's been in like a lot of videos now because it's on my desk in the background. So I read the book. Phenomenal book. Thanks. Like, you really laid it out in a way, and it's really human up.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like this is so much bigger than man up. It's really a great story and a bunch of lessons in there.
You know, dude, what inspired me to write it, as you asked me, was, and it's man up. That's what we hear people tell themselves, right? Like, that's what I told myself when I needed to part ways with my business partner who was toxic, who was hurting our brand, our Fit Body Bootcamp brand. I'm a people pleaser, Cody. I'm a personal trainer. I will wake up at 3 in the morning to come and help you, even though you're going to be reluctant to work out and unmotivated. I will motivate you by 4 a.m. and make you lift and run and skip and eat right all day long. Like, that's what I do. I'm a people pleaser. I want to serve. And my business partner, while a great human being, was not cut from that same cloth. And I realized he was damaging our business and our reputation and our brand. You know, we all see the big spike, the hockey stick that Fit Body Bootcamp is experiencing. When you go back in history through that book, in 2011, 12, and 13, Fit Body Bootcamp was literally on the death table, and I was trying to resuscitate it. And I was having anxiety attack after anxiety attack because I didn't want to have that what I thought was unnecessary conversation with my business partner. Turns out it was very necessary, and I told myself 5 words: it's time to man up. And when I said it's time to man up and have this conversation, I parted ways with him. And I said, it's time to man up and become a better leader. It's time to man up and start having a vision what Fit Body Bootcamp is going to look like 10 years from now. It's time to man up and start developing, turning my employees into team members. And one it's time to man up at a time, I was able to take this dying brand. We were losing more locations than gaining every month. And I was able to turn the ship around over a 3.5-year period. It wasn't overnight. It was very painful. It almost cost me my marriage. Speaking of, how do you keep the marriage together? Well, I almost lost it because of this, right? So entrepreneurism, and I realized only in hindsight, dude, I was depressed. I was eating my emotions. I'd gained 35 pounds in 2011, 12, 13. I would only make videos that were from the chin up because I didn't want people to see I'm fat and overweight again, right? The fitness guy. Like, what an imposter I was. But it was through leadership, through entrepreneurism, through personal discipline, through decisiveness, clear communication, clarity of vision, and building a team. Those 6 pillars help me turn this business around. And today, we literally help millions of people every morning through Fit Body Bootcamp locations worldwide, simply because I chose to human up And people ask me, well, what does human up mean? Stop making excuses, take control of your situation, and rise to your potential. And I stopped making excuses like my business partner's an a-hole, and my employees don't get it, and my franchisees don't see my vision. I stopped making excuses, I took control, and I rose up. It was painful, it was difficult, and I did it, and anybody can.
That was amazing. Yeah. What we're going to end strong because you know, these videos on YouTube, I love this organic kind of conversation. I think people get the most value when it's just real and raw like this. What advice would you give your 20-year-old self?
Oh man. The advice, and I've gone through this so many times mentally, this exercise. If I could just go back, I always say this, even during talks, if I could just go back 20 years, I would take more risks and put in more effort in the right direction. More risks. I was constantly questioning myself, doubting myself, because I wasn't sure, so I would always play the small game. I would think big, but play small. I would take more risks. At 20 years old, I was single. I had no kids. I had no wife. I could be homeless. Who cares? I should have bet the farm on so many different opportunities, but I didn't because I didn't have the confidence. So I would have taken more risks, and I would have put in more effort on what I call the shouts and not the whispers. In all of life, in all of business, there's shouts and whispers. A whisper is, do I use Infusionsoft or Entreport? Who cares, right? A whisper is, do I use the GoDaddy hosting or Bluehost or HostGator? Who cares? A shout is, who is my sales rep? How is my sales rep training his team? Are they closing ethically? Are they closing every lead that's coming? Those are shouts. And I should have put in more effort on the shouts and less effort on the whispers. And if I would have done those two things in my 20s, I would have had this empire a decade sooner with less pain and less money lost.
Boom.
Yeah.
Great advice. All right. How do people get a hold of you?
Easiest way to get a hold of me on any of the platforms, at bedroskeuilian.com. I'm currently the opposite of you. I'm very highly on YouTube. I've been on YouTube for the last 13 years. I recently committed to Instagram, and I just love and I'm fascinated by the Instagram platform.
Boom. All right. So now you guys know, first off, thank you for having me to this wonderful facility and just having me on your podcast. The Empire Podcast, go check that out. Obviously, his book, Man Up, and go follow him on Instagram since that is his favorite platform.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks, guys, for hanging out. I'm Cody Sperber, the Clever Investor. If you got something from this YouTube video, comment down below what your biggest takeaway was. Make sure you smash that like button and turn on post notifications. And until next time, I'm Cody Sperber, the Clever Investor, here with
Bedros Keuilian.
And we're signing off for now. Take care. Comb your hair. We're out.
Oh, hey, didn't see you there. Hey, listen, while you're here, why don't you click the tab in the upper right-hand corner and grab my new book, How to Flip Houses with Little to No Money Down. It's a step-by-step guide on how I got wealthy in real estate and how you can too. Hope it helps. Oh, don't forget to watch the 2 videos also.